Hello folks, it's another one of those chill out videos where I get to sit here and talk and just not turn my brain on for a while. We do a bit of a Q&A once a month where the lovely people over at Patreon are able to send me some questions that I then get to read out on a stream or on a recorded video, as we see now. These are all a stream of consciousness videos, and all opinions here are my own. I'm going to put it right out there, I do not know everything in the world. If I have missed something, or there's a piece of research that I've not heard of, feel free to whack it in the description or in the doobly-doo, the comment section down below. I read everything, right? I heart everything that I even slightly agree with, and those of you who are on here will know that I often heart things that disagree with me. I give people a like when they disagree with me, because as long as you do it respectfully, and you do it in a way that is constructive, I'm all for it, right? So, that's where we are. That's a Q&A. These are all my opinions. And disclaimer, I'm an absolute moron. I'm an idiot. Okay? Just remember that before we go any further. Right? Got it? Good. Let's get on with it. First question is, Yo North, my question for you today is that I have a friend who is into 40k. He's into Sisters of Battle and Tau, but doesn't have any minis. I was thinking of getting and painting him some minis of one of the factions as a gift. Would this be an appropriate gift, or would this be considered a bit of an overreach on my part? Cheers. So, here's a thing. Here's a thing to be careful of. If your friend has shown an interest in the hobby, how do you know he wouldn't want to build and paint the models himself? Be very, very careful there, my friend. Be very careful, because he probably does want to build and paint the models himself. He probably does want to have a nice time and do his own thing. So be very careful, and I would say allow him to make that choice. Buy him the models. Nobody's going to turn down free models if they're interested in the hobby, trust me. Buy him the models and then see where you go from there. But I wouldn't... It's not an overreach per se, you know what I mean? But it is a... it's an overstepping. You know, how do you know he doesn't want to do that himself? You're taking away like 80% of the hobby from him by just giving him the models when they're done. You know? So I would let him... Well, what if he doesn't like your colour scheme, you know? I'd let him decide. Get him some models and nurture him in the hobby. Get him some models and then be there to play the game with him. Or to talk him through how to paint and how to get things done. That's what you should do, rather than doing it, you know, teach a man to fish and all that, you know, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, you feed him the entire rest of his life. That's what you should do. Teach this guy to fish. And in doing so, do Sisters of Battle and Tau. Anyway, moving on. Question number 2. Hey North, what is your opinion of women in the hobby? Here we go. On one hand, you seem to not take their nonsense at all. But then, you welcome them into the hobby in others. Which side of the fence are you on here? Cheers, pal. Okay, that's true. I mean, here's the thing. Before I go any further with that question, here's the thing. Any person of intelligence can think two directly opposite things about the same subject and recognise that they're both true, right? So, before I go any further, should women be allowed in the hobby? Absolutely. I don't even know why that's a question, because, you know, a lot of the best hobbyists that I know are women. Whatever, right? Everyone's welcome here. Number 2, on the flip side of that, are women fucking annoying sometimes? Yes. Yes. Very annoying, right? So I can think two opposite things at the same time. It doesn't mean just because just because I let any woman who wants to be in the hobby be here, that doesn't mean I'm a simp. And just because I find some women annoying as fuck, doesn't mean I'm some sort of horrible misogynist, right? You know, you've got to be able to engage your brain. That's what we're not seeing in the world right now, is people engaging their brains and being able to think with more than one brain cell. You need to think with more than one brain cell to get what I've just said to you. So congratulations if you just did. Well done to you. So I'm going to go through your question and break it down and answer it as I go, alright? So, what do I think of women in the hobby? I think no matter... And this is a chrysalis of all my points. So if you've seen me in previous videos talk about stuff, feel free to disregard all that, even though most of it will be in this answer as well, and take this as a black and white answer for my opinions. Okay? Go. Here we go. What is your opinion of women in the hobby? Right. So, anybody should be able to be in this hobby as long as you come into it in good faith. If you love 40k for what it is, or Age of Sigmar, or the Old World for what it is, if we're talking 40k, it's a grim, dark setting, full of totalitarian regimes and almost comically grim tidings. Space Marines, Grey Knights, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Orcs, Eldar, Necrons, all that good stuff. If you're here for that stuff and you find the lore cool, I welcome you here. I don't care about your sex. I don't care about your age, your gender, your creed, the colour of your skin. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you identify as. You're welcome here. And you can have a pint with me anytime and talk about the hobby. Because you're a cool person who likes the hobby for what it is, right? Should we gatekeep the hobby for people who don't like the hobby as it is and want to change it? Yes. Get those people the fuck away from my hobby and get them out. Okay? If you don't like Warhammer, don't be here. Go make your own thing and have other people of like mind do what you want to do. Learn to write settings and have people build that around you. Build it yourself. It's a cool thing. Cool exercise. I'm going to take a quick drink before I move on to the next part. Neck oil. Saturday afternoon, sun shining, neck oil, ice cold. Very nice. It's a Beavertown beer. I really do, I do recommend it. It's very nice. On one hand, you seem to not take their nonsense like at all. But then you welcome them into the hobby in others. Well, again, here's the thing, man. You're thinking in it in a singular fashion. Why can't I do both? Why can't I acknowledge that some women are toxic assholes, and then go, but hey, everybody deserves to be here, and if you're here in good faith, I'm not going to turn you away. You're a good person, and you come. What's the problem there? I don't get what the problem is. I don't understand what the issue is. Right? You can think in duality. You can think two different things about people at once. Here's the thing. Like, I was brought up by women. A lot of people don't know that, but I was... it's a behind-the-scenes footage here. I was brought up by women, and so essentially, I was the only man in my house. I was very lucky to have my grandpa and my uncle around nearly all the time, and they were, like, very big influences on my life. And they made sure that I had no daddy issues whatsoever, right? I had very good male role models in my life. And I was very lucky to have them. But I also had women in my life telling me the pitfalls of what to expect from dating other women as I got older. More fool me when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I never listened to them. Even into my 20s, I never listened to them. Because I thought I knew everything and I was wrong. It's only when my relationship in America blew up on my face that I started to listen to what they were saying, and I went, you know what? Fuck this. My happiness and my self-respect matters more than any woman ever in the world, ever. Ever. And you know what? Since then, since I made that decision, every single woman I've been on a date with, or I've been seeing for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, since I've gotten back from America, has been top quality. And those relationships have ended because of distance, because we've just not been that compatible, so we've remained friends, all these other things that have been going on. Or one of us wasn't ready yet, right? Completely lovely, normal ways to end a relationship or a romantic entanglement, right? And each and every single one of those women have been really awesome and good for my mental health. They've built me up instead of breaking me down. Why? Because I had respect in myself. I don't accept bullshit. And quite a lot of the time on this channel, I get into trouble for putting women on the same level as men. Right? Men on this channel get ripped to shreds when they misbehave. When they're assholes. And I put women on I don't put them on a pedestal. I put them in exactly the same box. And sometimes, mostly men, weirdly, people get upset by that. And they start white knighting. No. No. Just play the game, dude. Everybody's in the same boat. Respect yourself first. Right? Respect yourself first. Then move on with it. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them being here. No. Right? Which side of the fence are you on here? Well, I'm on the side of the fence that grows the hobby. And that's having the most people that are here in good faith here as possible. And again, I don't care who you are or what you come from. You belong here if you like 40k. I'd love to reach through the screen right now of your phone and shake your hand. But knowing a lot of you dirty, dirty people, you'll put something else in my hand as well and laugh while you're doing it. Right? But that's where I am. I don't care where you are, what you come from, you belong here, right? And you know what? Most of the women who are in the hobby as well are utterly cool. Cool people. Awesome stuff, right? Cool. Moving on. By the way, if you ever want to know my opinion on women, direct them to this fucking video. Because I know in other videos, I get irate and I start going off on, like, different things just to get a rise out of people. Like you know, the wage gap and things like that. You know, most of that shit I'm saying to, like, you know, annoy you. Because there are my opinions, but also I'm saying them thinking, oh, this is going to get a lot of them, oh, the knickers in a twist, because I find it hilarious. And I don't know. It's the comedian in me, I guess. I just likes getting a rise out of people. But if you want to know my actual opinions on the whole kit and caboodle, there you are, right? That 5 to 10 minutes talk there, that's all you need to hear about my opinions of women in the hobby and women in general, right? Some of you are assholes. Some of you are awesome. But just like, you know, when a woman goes out and this is why, like, with my daughter, like, I would say to her, do not go out dressed, half-dressed, to a club. Because you dress for the man you want to attract. If you go out with your tits hanging out and your ass hanging out, that's the kind of man you're going to attract. Right? If you want to attract a man of quality, you cover that shit up. You wear shit that accentuates your body shape, sure. But you don't. You cover yourself up and you act like a class act. You act like a classy lady. You head out there and you will attract a classy guy. Because guys without class will be terrified of approaching you. Because you have a brain on your shoulders. Exactly the same way for men. Exactly the same way it works. Put faith in yourself. Respect yourself. Right? Love yourself. And other people will start to buy into that as well. I'm telling you now. It gets better, dudes. If you stop simping and putting up with the bullshit, you start to attract women of real quality. You do. This is how it works. Moving on. Question number 3. Alrighty, Northern, what's going on with Starfield and the controversies about the pronouns? Oh my god, here we go. Oh, dear. I love Starfield, I'm going to say it now, but I'll get into it in a second. Alrighty, Northern, what's going on with Starfield and the controversies about the pronouns that are in the game? Would you recommend the game as somebody who doesn't tolerate that nonsense in your media? Right, okay. I'm going to take another sip of beer here. Christ, you guys are really hitting me with the big guns today. Alright, I'm going to be honest. When I was playing Starfield, I came across the pronoun screen and I just skipped right past it. I went, he, him, yeah, okay, fine, moving on. And it hasn't come up again in the game once. So, again, remember what I just said about duality of thought? I'm exactly the same way, right? I don't want gender politics in my games. I don't want modern leftist agenda talk in my games. I think it's insufferable and reeks. It reeks of corporate yes men. That's what it reeks of. It's disgusting, right? Take it away. Don't want it in my games, right? And all those people who say to me, well, what's the big deal? There's only pronouns. And I say, yeah, exactly. What's the big deal? Why does it need to be there if it's not a big deal? If it's not a big deal, why do you need to have pronouns in the game? You just said it's not a big deal. Like, that's what I hear all the time. It's not a big deal, bro. It's only pronouns. Okay, then why are they there? Then why are they there? If it's not a big deal. Right? You would have done exactly the same message by having no sex in the game at all and just saying body type. That's fine. Cyberpunk does that. What body type do you want? There's one male-looking one, there's one female-looking one, and you could create somebody who's a bit in between if you wanted to. You don't even have to have gender in the game. They made a conscious decision to put pronouns in there. I said, what's the big idea, bro? It's not a big deal. If it's not a big deal, then why are they there? Okay? That's number 1. That's my thought process number 1. I don't want it there, no problem. But I did just skip past it. Then you get people online. Here's the other side of the coin. And leftist people, this is where I'm going to pull you back in again, I think. The other side of the coin, where you have all of these fucking drama merchants, right? I know. I do a show called Hobby Nightmares, Drama Merchant, but hey, you know, like, okay, I would be honest with you and say, Hobby Nightmares isn't really about drama. It's about anecdotes. It's about life and the hobby, do you know what I mean? So I'm going to sidestep that. I know a lot of you were saying, that's rich coming from you. I don't do drama on this channel. Right? I read what you do, and if you don't want drama, then stop sending me stuff that has drama in it, and I'll read anything you send me, right? Again, hobby life is hobby life. And we do hobby nightmares that are positive and negative on this channel. So it's not as if I'm sitting here. Here's the thing. Every single time I see one of these drama accounts, right? And a lot of these people are very nice. Like yeah, people like the Quartering, right? Guys like him. Every single fucking video is whinging. It's negative, and it's whinging, and it's making a mountain out of a molehill. Ooh, Starfield drama, or Starfield controversy, blah, blah, blah. There's no controversy there. There's none. Or there's a tiny controversy there. That people just discussed once for 5 minutes and moved on. And they're still there, milking this shit, weeks and months later. You know? Looking for content. We've all been guilty of it, you know? Looking for content. Difference here is that, you know, I would like to think at least 60 to 70% of Hobby Nightmares are positive in nature. Or they end positively. Which just shows you what an amazing hobby we have. I couldn't do Hobby Nightmares in any other hobby. Because it'd be too negative. It would be too negative. Like, can you imagine gaming nightmares? Holy shit. Holy shit. You'd be there all day. You'd want to top yourself after doing the first couple of weeks of it. You know? I'm very lucky to have a hobby here where most of my hobby nightmares, most of the stories I read from people, have positive endings. Because our hobby is an amazing place filled with amazing people. Right? So those are my two different thoughts. Should pronouns be in the game? Probably not, because it's not a big deal. Right? It's not a big deal. And it's a slippery slope. You start including those things, what else is going to be there now? Right? Are we gonna like ban things that are in there? Should we say? I mean, I remember when Larian, when Baldur's Gate, when they released the character creator for Baldur's Gate, and everybody created the standard white guy, because everybody that buys the game mostly is standard white guy, right? The cis white males, right? And they even released it on Twitter. They were so disappointed that most of the people using the character creator in Baldur's Gate 3 were creating generic white guys. They were offended by that. Like, way to piss off your audience. Who do you think's buying your game, you ungrateful bastards? What's next, right? If we have pronouns in there, are they going to start banning? Like, you know, you can't be normal. You got to... No. Can't be that, right? It's a slippery slope argument. That's where we are. That's where we are in discourse these days. So, I don't think politics needs to be in games beyond, right, the factions and things like that are in the games. Beyond the actual stories themselves. Okay? When people say they don't want politics in games, right, they don't want to be preached to. They will happily discuss the evils of late-stage capitalism, but when they're playing Cyberpunk, because it fits. Right? It fits. They will happily do that. I would happily do that. And I believe capitalism is a net positive. But I would happily do that, yes. Because I really like Cyberpunk and what it represents. And the game itself. Okay? And I don't feel like I'm being talked down to. I feel like I'm having a discourse with the game. And I can decide for myself where I draw the line. Because I'm playing a game, I'm the player, I'm the most important person here, and it's my experience that we're talking about. If you're going to do it that way, politics can be in games all day long. No problem. It's when you start talking down to me and dictating to me what's right and what is wrong, I tell you to royally go and fuck yourself. I did a video back in the day called Games Workshop Moral Police, when Games Workshop were trying to do that back in the day with the George Floyd thing and saying, oh, you know, and they were getting on their high horse about, you know, saying to people, well, if you don't believe this like we do, then you shouldn't be here. You know, and it was like, guys, We didn't need you to say that. Do you know why? Because this hobby is fucking brilliant. And 99% of the people in this hobby are good people who couldn't give a shit about what colour you are, about what creed you are, and what sex you are. It's people like you, Games Workshop, who care about that kind of thing. We don't. Do you know why? Because we're not fucking racist. That's why. We don't really see it. We just see a guy who likes Warhammer. Whereas you don't see that. You see people as different, and you like to put them in their own little boxes. That's why you feel like you need to tell us how to think and how to feel. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye. Don't want to get involved with you. Don't want to be involved in it. Thank you very much, right? But on the flip side of that, we have a large section here on YouTube who like to talk about these controversies all the time and blow them way out of proportion. And it gets fatiguing after a while. And I will be honest, I played. People were saying to me, all of the women in Starfield are girl bosses, and all of the guys are betas. No, they're not. No, they're not. What game are you playing? What game are you playing? It goes from having pronouns at the start of the game and being upset about that to just making shit up. Do you know what I mean? That's not in the game. The pronouns are right at the start of the game. You can skip past them and then play the game. There's nothing else in there. There's no gender politics. There's nothing. Right? There's no leftist agenda in fucking Starfield. Stop looking for things when they're not there. Because the more you cry wolf, the more actual crimes like this will go under the radar. Okay? So yes, I don't think they should be there. But is my day ruined for them being there? Is my game ruined for them being there? Am I going to lie to you and tell you that there are leftist, horrible stuff in the rest of the actual game? No, I'm not going to lie to you because they're not there. It's a great game. It's a phenomenal game. And most of the people who say that they don't like it were expecting fucking Cyberpunk in space. They were expecting No Man's Sky. Right? Todd Howard does himself no favours, by the way, because he won't keep his fucking mouth shut. He does himself no favours. That guy should stay away from every single microphone. If I was on the Bethesda team, and I was quite high up, I'd be saying, Todd, shut your fucking mouth. Stay in here, run the studio, make sure we make a good game, and shut it. Don't go in front of any cameras and say anything about the game, ever. Don't tell people there are 1,000 worlds in the game, you can land on each and every single one of them, because they all know you fucking lie, and you create really, really high expectations for a game that didn't need them. Do you know why I'm enjoying Starfield? Because I went into Starfield expecting Skyrim and Fallout 4 in fucking space. What is Starfield? Skyrim and Fallout 4 in fucking space, and it's a great game for it. Moving on. Alright, for the Q&A. Hey there, Papa North, hello. I listened to your rant about the new Lion novel, and I think you're not really giving it a fighting chance. Okay. You've mentioned before that he's empire building and seems like a goody two-shoes hero, but he's really not. He was named Lord Protector by Gilliman and is honouring that title. Anyone who wants to serve him is free to do so, of their own free will, and the Fallen storyline hasn't finished yet. He's more or less doing what he was meant to do, protect humanity by killing all the monsters like Geralt, minus all the sexy sorceresses. By the way, there's a new Green Knights audiobook that's come out. Thanks. I know, I've seen it. I've not actually listened to it yet, but I will do. Okay. I see your point, and I respectfully disagree. Mainly because you haven't really disproved anything that I said. You know, you haven't said no, he's not empire building, because you probably know he is. He's literally building a stable region of space that he rules himself. As Lord Protector, fair enough, but he still rules it. He's still the one in charge, right? He's still the proto-emperor of that place that he's building. So he's empire building, right? I said he's a goody two-shoes hero. Yes, I did. But he's really not. How? How is he not? Here's the thing. You said, but he's really not, and then you don't tell me why he's not. I've given you loads of reasons why he is, that are backed up by lore examples, but you've not told me why he's not. You've just said he isn't. So I can't really argue with you there, because there'd be no point. Like, you know what I mean? All I need to do is give one example, right? Him being a goody two-shoes is one example, is he's forgiving all of the fallen straight away. Even the kind of chaos corrupted ones. That's a goody two-shoes move. That's a boring goody two-shoes, non-grimdark move. The grimdark move would be for him to murder every fallen he comes across if they don't repent. I.e., he acts like a fucking dark angel. But you know, just getting that off my chest there. So yeah, he is a goody two-shoes and he is empire building. Those are my main two gripes with his character. He's not acting like Lionel Johnson. Okay? He's acting like a character in Warhammer 40,000, but most characters in Warhammer 40,000 are schizophrenics and morons. So yeah, see, you are true. He's acting just like he should be in Warhammer 40,000, I guess. Like an idiot, essentially. Is he killing monsters? I don't think he is. I think if you want to bring back Lionel Johnson, you should literally do what you just said there. Make him Geralt of Rivia of the Warhammer 40,000 setting. This is a guy who goes around with a small warband of fallen that he thinks are actually repentant, and normal Dark Angels that he thinks haven't gone too far into the weirdo seclusionist side, right? He goes around with them and he fights the biggest, baddest threats in the galaxy. He doesn't rule anything. He doesn't want to rule anything. He's the fucking lion. He's there to kill big things and have fun doing it. He didn't want to be War Master so he could rule the galaxy. He wanted to be War Master so he could go fight the biggest monsters with the biggest toys. One of the biggest monsters being Horus himself. Right? Good. That's what we should have. So you've touched on what we should have there. We should have a 40k version of Geralt of Rivia. But he's Lionel Johnson. But instead, we've gotten Gilliman Vanilla Light. Moving on. Howdy Northern, hey man, what do you think overall the state of 40k actually is these days? Like right now, and why? Dude, that is a massive fucking question. I can't answer all that. Be here all day. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a Gestalt answer to that question. Alright? A Gestalt answer. That means I'm gonna give you service level answer, okay? Cool. So, in terms of models, especially Space Marine models, this is the best we've ever had in the hobby, and you know, I know Outer Circle's going to be spitting his cornflakes out because it's probably early morning over there in Australia. But most of the models I see coming out are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and I love them. I just love the state of the hobby when it comes to models. Even things like Eldar and older versions of models like Necrons and things that are getting more models, we are having it really good right now. Like now, do we need updates? Yes. Good God, man, I'm a Grey Knight player. Please give me some updates. Can you imagine how good looking a Primarist-sized Grey Knight would be? Oh, come on, dude, right? So yes, there are still improvements to be made, but on a general front, in terms of models, it's the best it's ever been, and that's where I am. Unfortunately, in terms of pricing, this is the worst it's ever been, and it's only getting worse. I've covered this before. The price hikes every single year are abysmal and inexcusable, and are done by sheer greed on Games Workshop's part. Don't really need to go into that any more than I already have done. And yeah. In terms of the lore, again, I've covered this at time ad nauseum. 40k lore since the start of the end of 7th edition and the start of 8th has been a fucking mess. It's going to take a hell of a lot of effort to bring it back into line. And instead of doing that, I honestly think Games Workshop have already pulled the plug and done End Times ages ago. Right, the end of 7th edition was End Times, and now we're living in Age of Sigmarified 40k. Essentially, you know, it's not as grimdark as it was, and it's moving away from its roots. It's essentially becoming much more like Age of Sigmar than what 40k used to be. Alright? That's the general gist of where I think 40k is as a hobby right now. Overall, a net positive, but it's ticking down for me. We're on like a +3. and we're ticking down to zero in the minuses with each and every passing day, unfortunately. It needs arresting, it needs people with passion and drive to pull the law in the right direction, to make sure that the prices are at least frozen and don't rise any more for the greed of Games Workshop, and to give us more options with the tens of millions of pounds worth of profits that they make each and every single year. We should be getting a lot more options in terms of models going forward, for people who aren't getting much love. Alright? Cool. That was my Q&A session for the day. I am tired. Wow, that was a big old doozy right there. That was a big old venting there. I'm gonna have a shower and a break. I love you all long time. I'll speak to you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you on Monday. Have a good one. Bye now.